Is this market manipulation?
No.
Why not? If it was a plan, if it was always the plan, how is this not market manipulation?
It's not market manipulation, sir.
Well, then what is it? Because it sure is not a strategy.
We're trying to reset the global trade system.
And
What
has that done? How have you done? How have you achieved any of that? But to enact enormous harm on the American people, which was our concern from the very beginning. Tariffs are a tool. It can be used in the appropriate way to protect U.S. jobs and small businesses. But that's not what this does. So if it's not market manipulation, what is it? Who's benefiting? What billionaire just got richer? WTF? Who's in charge? Because it sure doesn't look like it's the trade representative. You just got the rug pulled out from under you.
Market manipulation. This is what Trump was accused of on the back of his 90-day tariff pause. Initially, I thought this was yet another unreasonable accusation that is only going to serve to undermine the host of reasonable accusations that have been levied towards this man, both past, present, and future. But then I realized that there's actually more merit to it. We might accuse this man of being capricious, being unpredictable, being chaotic, not offering us much clarity, if he even has the clarity himself, on the end goal of these tariffs. But market manipulation seemed a bit more specific than met the eye. I mean, the fact that the market would react to news made by the president to the upside does not imply any market manipulation to me. So that was my initial thought. But then I realized that 4 hours before the news came out that these tariffs were going to be put on pause, Trump had made a post on his Truth social media platform that it was time to buy the market. There's a couple of reasons why this is very concerning. And I want to start with the least problematic to the most concerning. I think they're all very serious and concerning, but I'll just try to rank order these for whatever that's worth. The first problem here is the conflict of interest between a sitting president and the fact that he has a media company with a publicly traded stock that is set to benefit from any policy that he might make. This rightfully puts under the microscope any policy that he makes and how that might affect the price of his company or his businesses within that company. So that is the first issue here. There should not be someone with so much power given to them for the sole purpose of benefiting the American public, who is constantly being scrutinized, rightfully again, for the possibility that he might be using this power to benefit himself. But obviously that conflict of interest issue predates the tariff one, so it's adjacent at best, if still a very serious one. The second and more specific reason as to why this accusation of market manipulation is not as vacuous as I initially thought is that for a sitting president to make a post on his social media platform 4 hours preempting the news of a pause in tariffs, news that is obviously going to affect the stock market to the upside, to me seems like a complete breach of fiduciary responsibility. Now that's a legal word, but I want to look up its definition for you really quick, because I think it might not be very obvious how fiduciary responsibility connects to the situation. So fiduciary responsibility is the highest standard of care imposed by law or ethics. It requires an individual or entity, the fiduciary, who has been entrusted with the assets, property, or interests of another person or group to act solely in the best interest of that beneficiary. So let's clarify these labels. The fiduciary here is Trump, who's been entrusted with the interest of the American people. And yet he makes a post on his social media platform, a platform that is only accessible to the relatively small amount of Americans who happen to be on there. That does benefit him, by the way, and tipping them to the news that the market is going to turn to the upside based on this policy that he enacted 4 hours after. If that is not irresponsible at best, then I don't know what is. The last and most serious reason here is the possibility that this post was not made only to encourage people to buy the stock market broadly, but rather to buy his Trump media company specifically. So now we have all of these suspicions as a public, which we should not even have to be contending with in the first place. This conflict of interest, this market manipulation, the fiduciary irresponsibility, the intimations of insider trading by tipping only people on a very exclusive platform that benefits just himself. If this doesn't scream concerning, and all of this in the context of someone who has shown complete disregard for the rule of law, especially as it pertains to him. And we can see this ad nauseum in the way that he reacts to judges who either pick up his case or rule in a way that's not favorable to him. I need not go through the endless plethora of instances where this has happened. And a person who has shown persistent inclination at benefiting himself and his businesses at the expense of the Americans. How this man managed to convince so many millions of Americans that he is for the working class, he is for the disenfranchised person, is really beyond me. Actually, it's not, but that's for a different video. I understand why people voted for him. I even empathize with such people. I see what the other side does. I see how irritating that can be. But let's be honest. This is not the behavior that we want to be seeing in a sitting president. And we should be able to call out bad behavior regardless of where it's coming from, especially when it's coming from the most powerful position on the planet, given that we're not living in an authoritarian country. Unless, of course, that's where we want our future to be headed.